Hello and welcome to Go, your place for motivation and personal growth. This week marks the beginning of an exciting journey into the world of psychology and behavior. Today, we're re-exploring a powerful yet often overlooked topic. Toxic self-talk, that inner voice that can either make or break your mindset. It's the narrator of your life. But is it your biggest critic or your loudest cheerleader? By the end of this video, you'll understand what toxic self-talk really is, why it happens, how it affects your life, and most importantly, you'll have practical steps to overcome it and reclaim your inner peace. Let's get started. Before we dive into the toxic part, let's talk about what self-talk is in general. Self-talk is simply the internal dialogue we all have. It's that constant stream of thoughts, that voice inside our head that narrates our day, reflects on our experiences, and guides our decisions. It's happening right now, even as you listen to me. This inner conversation can be positive, neutral, or negative. For example, positive self-talk might sound like, "I've prepared for this, I can handle this challenge." Neutral self-talk is more factual and observational. Like, "Okay, I need to remember, I have a meeting at 3 p.m. But toxic that's when this inner voice turns harsh, critical, or it's the voice that says, "You're not good enough," or "You're going to fail." It's a relentless critic that lives inside your head, and learning to manage it is one of the most important skills you can develop for your well-being. So, what exactly makes self-talk toxic? It's not just a bad mood or a single negative thought. Toxic self-talk is a destructive pattern of thoughts that tears you down rather than building you up. It often falls into a few common, nasty categories. First, there are personal attacks. "I'm so stupid," "I'm worthless," or "I'm such a loser." These are direct hits to yourself. Then there's catastrophizing, where you expect the worst-case scenario. A small mistake becomes, "This is a total disaster," or a future event prompts the thought, "Everything is definitely going to go wrong." Another one is black and white thinking. This is where there's no middle ground. "If I don't get this job, I'm a failure forever." Finally, there's you take one negative event and let it define everything. "I always mess up," or "Nobody likes me." This toxic narrative colors how you see yourself in the world. But here's the key. It's almost always unfair and inaccurate. It's a distorted lens, not the truth. Where does this damaging inner voice even come from? It doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Several factors can contribute to its development. The big one is our early life experiences. If you grew up with harsh criticism, neglect, or were bullied in childhood, those negative messages can get internalized and become your own inner voice. The seeds of self-doubt are often planted when we're young. Your social environment also plays a huge role. Constant negative feedback from friends, family, or colleagues can reinforce those toxic thought patterns. Personal setbacks are another trigger. Experiencing failure or rejection can activate a harsh inner commentary as a way to make sense of the pain. And for many of us, perfectionism is the culprit. When you set unrealistically high standards for yourself, any small imperfection can feel like a massive failure, leading to harsh self. The most important thing to grasp is that this toxic self-talk is a learned behavior. It's not an inherent truth about who you are, which means it can be unlearned. Toxic self-talk doesn't just hurt your feelings, it has a profound effect on your brain and your body. Let's break down the impact. Emotionally, it's a direct pipeline to increased anxiety, feelings of depression, and chronically low self. When you're constantly telling yourself you're not good enough, you start to believe it, and your emotional health suffers. Cognitively, it's like a fog that clouds your mind. It impairs your focus, makes decision-making feel impossible, and cripples your problem-solving abilities. How can you think clearly when a voice in your head is screaming that you're going to fail? And physically, the chronic stress created by this constant negativity can manifest in very real ways. Tension, headaches, persistent fatigue, digestive issues, and even a weakened immune system, making you more susceptible to getting sick. It creates a vicious cycle. The toxic thoughts cause stress. That stress worsens your thinking, and the cycle spirals, trapping you in a state of mental and physical exhaustion. So, How do you catch this sneaky inner critic in the act? The first step to changing any behavior is awareness. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. Here's how you can start spotting your own toxic self. First, just begin to notice the recurring negative phrases you say to yourself. Do you often call yourself stupid when you make a mistake? Pay close attention to moments when you suddenly feel discouraged, anxious, or defeated. What was the thought that immediately preceded that feeling? That's your clue. A really powerful technique is to journal your thoughts for a few days. Don't judge them. Just write them down as they come. Soon, you'll start to see clear patterns emerge. You might realize you're always critical of yourself in social situations, or maybe it's at work. And if you're brave enough, ask a trusted friend or family member if they notice you being overly self. Sometimes, an outside perspective can shine a light on patterns we're blind to in ourselves. Alright, now for the most important part. What can you do about it? Here are some concrete strategies to overcome toxic self-talk. First, practice mindfulness and observation. This means learning to observe your thoughts without getting swept away by them. Imagine you're sitting by a river, and your thoughts are just leaves floating by. You see the negative thought. You acknowledge it. There's my inner critic again. And you let it float on by without judgment. The second strategy is to actively challenge these negative thoughts. When a toxic thought pops up, play detective. Ask yourself, is this thought 100% true? What evidence do I have that supports this? And what evidence contradicts it? Am I exaggerating or jumping to the worst possible conclusion? Often, you'll find the thought crumbles under a little bit of scrutiny. Third, reframe your thoughts. Instead of just dismissing a negative thought, transform it into something more realistic or positive. For example, replace "I always fail" with "I've had setbacks, but each one is a learning experience that makes me stronger." Fourth, practice self-compassion. This is huge. Treat yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding you would offer a good friend who is struggling. You wouldn't tell your friend they're worthless, so why say it to yourself? Fifth, use affirmations and positive statements. Create a list of empowering phrases like, "I am capable," or "I am worthy of success," and repeat them daily. It might feel silly at first, but it helps rewire your brain. Finally, don't be afraid to seek support. Sometimes these patterns are rooted so deep that talking to a professional counselor or therapist can provide the tools and guidance you need to finally break free. Building a positive inner voice isn't an overnight fix. It's a practice, like building a muscle. It takes time, effort, and consistency. So be patient with yourself. Celebrate your small wins. Every time you catch a negative thought and reframe it, that's a victory. Acknowledge it. Surround yourself with positive influences, people who lift you up and believe in you. Their positive energy is contagious. And finally, engage in activities that naturally boost your confidence and your mood. It could be exercise, a creative hobby, or learning a new skill. The more you build your self-esteem through action, the quieter that toxic inner critic will become. Your inner dialogue will slowly but surely transform from that of a harsh critic into that of a supportive coach. Thank you for joining me in this first step towards understanding and overcoming toxic self. Remember, that voice in your head is one of the most powerful tools you have. You get to decide whether it's used to tear you down or to uplift, encourage, and inspire yourself every single day. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode of our 52-week journey into personal growth. I'll see you next week.